"You're not half the man your brother is," my dad said at dinner. I pushed my chair back and said, "Then he can start paying your rent." Mom turned pale. "Rent? What rent?" So my brother Griffin has always been the favorite, like not even subtle about it. He's a year older than me, went to law school, married his college girlfriend, had 2 kids by 29. The golden child who could do no wrong. Me? I'm 31, work in IT, never married, no kids. In my parents' eyes, that apparently makes me a failure. I've been paying their rent for 3 years now. Dad lost his job when his company downsized and couldn't find anything that paid the same. Mom works part-time at a grocery store. They were gonna lose their house, so I stepped in. $1,200 a month straight from my account to their landlord. Never asked them to pay me back. Never even told Griffin because Dad specifically asked me not to. He said it would embarrass him if his successful son found out. Whatever. I did it because they're my parents. But last Sunday I went over for dinner like I do every week. Griffin was there with his wife Kelsey and their kids. The whole dinner Dad kept going on about how Griffin just made partner at his firm. How proud he was. How Griffin was such a man taking care of his family. Then Dad looks at me and goes, "When are you gonna get your life together? You're 31 living in that tiny apartment. Still single. No real career." I said I have a career. I make good money. Dad literally laughed. He said Griffin makes 3 times what you make. Then he looks at Griffin and says, "Your brother could learn a thing or two from you about being a man." I just sat there cutting my chicken. Mom didn't say anything. She never does when Dad gets like this. Then Dad says the thing. He looks right at me and goes, "You're not half the man your brother is." The table went quiet. Even Griffin looked uncomfortable. The kids were just eating their mac and cheese, not paying attention. I pushed my chair back. The legs scraped loud against their kitchen floor. Everyone looked at me. I said, "Then he can start paying your rent." Dad just stared at me. Kelsey put her fork down. Griffin said what? I said it again. "Since I'm not half the man Griffin is, he can take over the $1,200 a month I've been sending to keep a roof over your heads for the past 3 years." That's when Mom turned pale. Like actually white. Her mouth opened and she said, "Rent? What rent?" Turns out Dad never told her I was paying it. He told her he got some remote consulting gig that covered the rent. She had no clue where the money was coming from. Dad started stuttering trying to explain. Mom stood up so fast her chair fell over. She started yelling at Dad asking why he lied to her, why he let me pay their bills while talking down to me every week, why he never told Griffin. Griffin just sat there frozen. Kelsey grabbed the kids and took them to the living room. Mom turned to me and asked how long. I said 3 years. Every month. She started crying. Not sad crying. Angry crying. She told Dad he was a pathetic liar. That I was the one who saved their home and he repaid me by treating me like garbage. Dad tried to say he was grateful but didn't want Griffin to know because it would make him look bad. Mom said, "So you made your other son look bad instead?" Griffin finally spoke up. He said he had no idea, and if he'd known he would have helped. I said, "Yeah, well, Dad didn't want you to know. Wanted to protect your perfect image." Dad got defensive. Said I offered to help so he took the help. That I shouldn't throw it in his face now. I said I never threw it in anyone's face until you decided to humiliate me at dinner. I grabbed my jacket and left. Mom called me that night apologizing. She said she confronted Dad more after I left and found out he'd been lying about other stuff too. She kicked him out. He's staying at a motel now. Griffin called the next day. Said he'd take over the rent payments and he was sorry for not noticing what was happening. I said thanks. Dad sent me a text saying I ruined his marriage over a stupid comment. That I should have kept my mouth shut. I blocked him. Mom filed for separation last week. She said she can't trust him anymore and finding out about the rent was the last straw on top of everything else he'd been hiding. She's already looking for a cheaper apartment she can afford on her own. Griffin said he'd help her with moving costs. Dad's been trying to call me from different numbers. I don't answer. Griffin says Dad's telling everyone I tore the family apart over nothing. That I'm vindictive and cruel. I just stopped paying the rent. Figured that's Griffin's problem now like Dad wanted.